thanks everybody for coming out to the third edition of Made in Atlanta. Thanks for coming out. Here's the official hashtag for tonight. We have taken full ownership of this hashtag, so feel free to use that. Quick backstory about this event, Made in Atlanta. So this is our third one. First one was with the Bitter Southerner guys, Chuck and Butler. Last month was with the VP of Culture at Sweetwater, a guy named Steve Farace. And in this month, Pick a Pop. So some pretty good Atlanta brands. But quickly, how this came about. So this event is a collaboration between Switchyards, which is where you are right now, and a company called Alternative Apparel. The alternative folks are here, so they'll quickly do an introduction. But essentially what we wanted to do with this event is really talk through brands that are made in Atlanta and get them to tell the brand story, the story that doesn't often get told. And because Switchyards is a consumer-focused building, design and brand and kind of the soul of the company matters a lot to a lot of the startups in this building. And so we wanted to kind of feature those companies. And there's a lot of great stuff going on in Atlanta. And it feels like we're at this kind of seminal moment in Atlanta's history, Atlanta's young history. And so it feels like a good time to have this event. We've had 3 of them so far, and they've all sold out really quickly, full house, and so we're feeling really good about the future of these. But again, it's a collaboration between us and Alternative, and so we've enjoyed working with those guys. And so quickly, let me introduce Switchyards, and then Evan will introduce Alternative. So Switchyards opened about a year and 2 months ago, January of 2016. And our whole kind of idea was Atlanta does not have a strong B2C startup culture. Atlanta's produced a lot of great brands, Coca-Cola, and the list goes on down, Home Depot, Waffle House, Spanx, some great brands were started here in Atlanta. We have not produced a strong kind of national technology company over the last 15 years. So we don't have a Snapchat, we don't have a Warby Parker, we don't have an Airbnb. And Dave and I started Scout Mob 7 years ago, and we wanted to create a place, a building, a coffee shop, an environment where B2C companies were celebrated. And so that's Switchyards, that's where you are right now. So with that said, let me call up Evan Toporek. Evan's the CEO at Alternative, and they've been great to work with. So.
Who was here last month? Right here? Okay, I have to get new material. Anyway, I'm going to go like 45 minutes. We're going to give these guys about 10 minutes. Is everyone good with that? No, really quick, 2 minutes or less. We are a clothing company. We are actually in Norcross because we have a really big distribution center, and that's a place we can afford to do it. But we sell to brands that put their logos on merchandise and we sell it. We also sell to stores. We sell to direct to consumers, our own stores and online. But what got us excited, and Michael and I talking about this, to repeat what you guys heard last month, up until, we were a 21-year-old company, and up until 2 years ago, we did all of our design work, at least for the last 12 years in Los Angeles. We were told that's the only place, New York and LA, the only place you could be in the clothing business are those 2 cities. And we followed those made-up rules, and we built a great team in LA. And then one day, we decided to try to move it back to Atlanta, and there were sleepless nights and anxiety, and can Atlanta really be a fashion company's home? And we asked our best people in LA to move here, and none of them took it. They're LA people. And we couldn't miss deliveries, because if you miss a season in the fashion business, you're out of business. We put out ads for about 10 roles, got 650 resumes, and today, I'm happy to tell you there's plenty of talent in this city. We're doing better than we ever have, and it really is the inspiration behind why we wanted to partner with Switchyards in this event. Anything can be done in this city. Our first 3 honorees, I'll call them, and great brands that we've been talking about, a fashion, media, lifestyle brand, one of the best microbreweries in the country, and beyond popsicles, one of the best desserts you'll ever taste, or any kind of event. King of Pop. So the whole goal isn't just to learn, in my opinion, from what you're going to hear from this great brand that's made in Atlanta, but how can Atlanta brands work together and build a whole culture of being great in Atlanta. So I'm going to let these guys take the mic, and we'll go from there.
Actually, not yet. Go back. That was a little premature. Premature King of Pops. 2 more minutes. All right, quickly. If you know anything about Made in Atlanta, this event, you know that there is a T-shirt for every event. So Alternative is an apparel brand. We're not going to do an event and not have apparel added. And so we've done a different shirt for every event. This is the shirt this month. And the first 100 people that RSVP to the event get a shirt. But you got to show up to the event. So you can't like come next week and pick it up or come tomorrow morning. You got to come to the event. So these are coveted shirts. Be quick on Eventbrite because they go within 3 or 4 hours. We hit the first 100. So you got to be quick. So anyway, the quick story on this shirt is we did this sticker, Downtown is for Doers, and people seem to dig it a lot. And so if you want a sticker, they're on the front ledge up there. There's a bunch of them up there. So that's kind of why we decided to do it. People, it passed the Instagram test. Just quickly, here's a little downtown bit. Have you guys seen this video by Macklemore, Downtown? It's not downtown Atlanta. It's downtown Tacoma, Washington. But it tells the story of downtown well. So this video is pretty funny if you want to watch the full thing. It's just a quick clip. Oh, wasn't that quick? Thanks for humoring me on that. I just had to play it. So I guess now the expectation's set that there's a YouTube video for every T-shirt. All right, here's how Made in Atlanta goes down. Steven and Nick are here, so they have a few questions that we asked them. So we sent them 15 questions, maybe 10 to 15 questions, and it's kind of a grab bag of questions, and kind of told them to pick 5 to 10 questions to answer. They're all meant to elicit some kind of brand anecdotes that are kind of interesting for you guys to hear. So we're going to do that, and then there's a Q&A at the end. We're not going to cut them off, so they're going to go as long as they need to go. Yes. But new format this time. Let's see how this works. Use that hashtag and ask your questions via Twitter, and then we can curate like good questions. Not like, can you guys come to my next event? Good questions. So ask the questions, use that hashtag, and we will curate the questions if there's some good ones. All right, quickly on Steven and Nick. These are the co-founders of King of Pops, and my personal view of these guys are this is a fantastic Atlanta story. They started in 2010. They wear the shirts every single day of their brand. They bring smiles to people's faces. It's a great brand. When I think of like new brands that were started in Atlanta, King of Pops is one of the best. I've gotten to know Steven pretty well, better than probably Nick over the years, just over coffee meetings and all of that. But Steven's like a great founder. He keeps it simple. He has a lot of fun. He involves his family. Does your dad still work there?
Oh, yeah, and mom.
And mom. Whole family works there, so He's keeping the Carsons employed, and just a great founder. I think more than anything else, and hopefully he'll talk about this, is keeping it simple and having fun. And he definitely does that. You know, if you think about like their elves business and all their, you know, the King of Crops and all that stuff. So they have a lot of fun, and a great example of an Atlanta company and an awesome Atlanta founder who's just made it happen and didn't have any type of playbook for this type of company. So a small, quick story, and then I'm done. Seriously, I'm done after this. Let me take you back to April 6th, 2010, a mere 7 years ago. You guys remember this thing? The flip cam? So this is how long ago it was. No one was taking video with iPhones. iPhone had come out earlier, but I don't think they had video yet in April of 2010. So at the time, I was at Scout Mob. We started at a Dave's Loft in Castleberry Hill, about half a mile south of here. And Scout Mob's first employee was a copywriter named Liza. She went to UGA, and she said, you know, Scout Mob kind of featured like interesting local content. And she said a friend of a friend is like starting some popsicle company. Maybe we should like do a feature. Scout Mob spent a lot of money and got a flip cam for like, you know, $149. And so don't hold this video against us. Is this the first ever press for King of Pops?
Gotta be close, yeah.
When did you launch?
April 1st.
So 5 days later. This was we were on top of it. We had an inside scoop. Anyway, this is shot with the flip cam, and I kind of sound like a jackass, and the sun was in Steven's eyes. But this is before anyone in this room had heard of King of Pop.
All right, you ready? Yeah. All right, we're here on the top of the Scout Mob headquarters loft, and who are we here with?
Stephen Karst.
And why are you here?
It's popsicles time.
So,
Time of the year.
King of Pops, tell me about it.
We're starting a popsicle company. We're going to try to reach out to local farmers and make a healthy dessert alternative. So I guess we're going to have like interesting flavors, like for example, mango mojito or tangerine basil, or then some of the classics, just like strawberry and stuff like that.
So where are you guys now? Are you open yet? Or are you about to open? Or
Yeah. I'm at right now. I'm based out of 660 Irwin Street, which is the Irwin Street Market.
Okay.
And then I'm taking it to the streets. I'm gonna have a few carts around town. Right now, the only one I've got is in Ponce Highlands, over on the intersection of North Highland and North Avenue, right in that Buddy's gas station. So.
Okay. So right next to like Video Grill.
Yeah, I've got a mural. If you see the mural, then you know you're in the right spot.
So Humble Roots, King of Pops was started that way. And Steven brings over like a little Tupperware container of like 8 popsicles. And I think we were all like, oh man, this guy's got no shot. What do we know? Nothing. Don't bet against anyone's idea. So anyway, they made it happen. So with that, Steven and Nick Karst, you guys got to come back out again. I think we got to play downtown again. I don't know if we can go back to it. Yeah, let's just... All right, come on out, guys. You gotta watch that whole video. It's pretty awesome.
Downtown video?
All right. Well, in case you needed a little bit more introductions, what I wanted to give, I was thinking about this. I watched their 1-year video actually for Switchyards before we started. Then we're going to get into King of Pops. And one thing that I think is easily overlooked when you're the person hosting all the events is that I talked to Michael a little bit, and he's my intro to the Switchyard folks. I know there's a lot of people behind it, and it's really difficult to start a story, and then you do all the work, and oftentimes when you're in the work, you kind of lose sight of the story, and then you start it, and if you're still telling the story, that's a pretty good job, and then you take another year, and you like kind of close your eyes, and because you're doing all like the actual work, like the things that are very hard, and you wake up every once in a while, you're having like this really deep moment on the couch by yourself, and then sometimes those thoughts you can have, like, man, I was telling everybody that we're about brands that are made with soul, and this is what our startup's going to be about. It can be really hard to then keep continuing on with that, but they keep telling their story. So I think they deserve a lot of props for that. It's a lot of hard work, and I can give them a credit. But they're doing a really important thing. And then as far as we go, this slide is just really an intro slide that says hello. And so I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Stephen Kars, and this is my brother Nick, who I was hoping, if he would be so kind, to give a little bit of a company introduction.
Oh yeah. So, King of Pops, we've got started, as you know, April 1st of 2010, 5 days before that video, apparently. And what's cool, I haven't seen that video in a long time. I do remember when it came out, and I was a prosecutor at the time in Gwinnett County, so a little bit has changed since then. But how true to what Steve said is what we're still trying to do. And we are living that story. So, we started just with that single push cart at the corner of North Highland, and now we're in 8 cities with popsicles, but we have about 4 or 5 other businesses too. We have a farm called King of Crops. We have a dog treat company called King of Pups. We have a Christmas tree company called Tree Elves and all kinds of stuff. But how we got there was our older brother, Ashley, super cool guy and maybe smarter than us for sticking with his true passion for his whole life, is an anthropologist at Vanderbilt University and was doing research in Panama at the time. Steve and I went and visited him down there and traveled through Central America, slowly needing and falling in love with frozen things throughout the trip. So whether it was like a little bag of frozen milk with raisins in it in Guatemala, or the paletas of Mexico, you know, that's where the idea came from. Steve was gainfully employed at AIG at the time. I was in law school, so no plans of anything ever happening from that. But, you know, things changed. 2008 came along, financial crisis, and Steve got laid off. Came to live on my couch for a while and said, you know, I'm going to go on interviews. So he was up in Boston interviewing at insurance companies and eating lobster dinners and all this fancy stuff. But, you know, my brother and myself kept encouraging him to do what he wanted with his life, and really pushed him to think about that hard and, you know, try something different. So I think that's what we did, and slowly came to be here.
Nice summarization. We were trying to keep this under 5 minutes on the intro because Tavani pushed us to give you guys some real good stuff that no one's ever heard before. So it's a lot of pressure, and I appreciate that. But
most people know the story though. It's like a surfer dude and a Wall Street guy that decided to just go and like make popsicles one day. So that's the general story we hear. But anyway.
It should be considered that, so once I started the company kind of talking like this, and you can tell I'm still talking in a very similar, transition. I don't know the words for how you talk about how you talk, but in the same way. But over the last 7 years, which is really crazy, and would never imagine that we would be doing this, and I always say this, but with we've got 10 people up there that came to watch us that have heard the story a billion times, and so proud that they're here. Andre told me she's going to be sending me some wavelengths. I'm actually waiting for those right now as to what I'm supposed to say. But since we started in 2010, really what happened was I was, as Michael explained, really just a pretty confused young guy trying to do something fun and have a story to tell. And it went well enough, quickly enough, that I could talk my brother into quitting his great job, to the chagrin of our father, and work really, really hard, and have found and attracted people that want to work really hard with us, and combined all of that into kind of what King of Pops is. So we're going to talk a lot about it, and it's easy to say I and we, and that would refer to me and Nick, but it's really like way bigger than this. I don't know, I thought I put my phone on silent. Bad student of me. But what we wanted to do is explain our humble roots, I guess, and talk about where we are now, which is something we're very proud of. I think Nick is good at talking kind of through the logistics of where we're at. I know he's practiced it. to give Nick some credit, he didn't know he was doing this till yesterday. Tabani was like, it'd be better if there's 2 people up there.
But I'm happy to be here. No, I don't know. I think what Steve said is really true, though, about being able to attract talent. That has definitely gotten to us to where we are, and that is because we're true to our purpose, and we're true to what we believe got us here. And so, you know, for us, we started out doing popsicles, making them until 2 a.m. and selling them at 8 a.m. the next day. But then, you know, eventually that changes, and 5 years later, maybe we didn't have to work 7 days a week, but maybe we still do too. I think what's cool is that now, last year, this is kind of maybe it's the next slide or something, but kind of a humble brag. We issued somewhere around 350 W-2s. And so that is like how many people's lives we touched and we're partly responsible for. So yeah, pretty crazy to think about that from the first year of having 0 W-2s to where we are now.
Apples, they never work. Vanity metrics.
Yeah, got started a little early on that. But I think what the point of that was is that pretty much you have to have a reason to connect with people. And if you do connect with people, you find great people and grow from there.
Awesome. So we're now in. Nick talked about the W-2s. He's really good to keep us straight of the pair. So that's his vanity metric. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about 2 that I'm really proud of to kind of give you a scale of success, I guess, if that's what we're going to say. I don't know. Oh. So we started a yoga event in 2014. The idea was we've got some employees that are kind of like into yoga probably.
Well, we pretty much had ourselves that were going to yoga anyway. And so we thought we might as well do it because it was going to be the same cost whether we went and paid each week or
that is kind of true. I was like,
else.
that's like $40 to pay her to do this for everybody, or we could just go. So that's going to be like a break even. So we started in the mornings, and a lot of people not that many people from our company, maybe like 10, 12 came, and then people on the belt line just kind of started showing up. It was before the belt line was paved. Like, if we're all trying to give ourselves some OG status, like Tabani. It was a lot of fun, and we said, really, Charlie, one of our vendors, who's a really amazing person, if you guys know her, was interested in starting the event, and when it grew, we were like, why don't we just invite people to this, and it took a lot of work, and Manu, who's here today, helped us with a lot of that work. We turned something that was like 40, 50, 60 people with some intentionality, but also just a good intention and people being excited to talk about it. And now it's something that is one of the things, like some people don't know that KOP Yoga has to do with King of Pops. They're just like, oh yeah, KOP Yoga. They're not going to worry about what the KOP stands for.
Yeah, I've literally run into people and they call it cop yoga. And I'm like, no. Okay, you don't know. Okay, that's fine.
And if you want to come, just a quick plug, this year it's on Sundays, park department, difficult to work with, but Sundays at 7 o'clock. Love the park department though, if anyone here's in the park department. This is another one I'm really proud of. We work with MailChimp. There's no good Atlanta slide deck that doesn't mention MailChimp. And they sponsor our birthday, which is coming up. I said April 1st, but for logistical reasons, because the 1st is a Saturday, and maybe they aren't that interested in supporting Atlanta, but very, very interested. They're going to do it on a Friday, but this is a graph of their Twitter mentions, which I thought you guys would be interested in seeing. The yellow one is kind of old, so they don't give me up-to-date info. But you can see these 2 days that we had our free pop day, our birthday, were by far their most successful days. And one thing that I think is really great about this story and MailChimp in particular is we do a ton of promotions, and everyone, when I'm talking on the phone about it with like, all right, we're gonna do a promotion, you're gonna spend some money, that's really, really great. Well, what are we gonna get? How are we gonna make sure everyone knows? How are we gonna like get them their stickers and their hat and make sure they sign up for the app? MailChimp really just asked us not to do anything. And they ask us to, if someone actually asks why this pop is free, to tell them we wanted to buy it for your birthday and for Atlanta.
What's pretty amazing about that though is even before they did that, they would just come up to us at random events and give us their credit card and said, pure paying for the pops for the next 100 people. Like I met Lane Shakespeare at, I don't remember what it was, Orange Conference, I think, several years ago. And he's just like, yeah, buying pops for the next 100 people. So, I mean, that's the kind of company they are and the kind of people they are, which is
And we don't
amazing.
all have MailChimp money, so we can't just talk about it like that. So now we're going to get into the presentation.
In case you were waiting.
I know you guys were excited about these questions that Tavani put together. There's 5 to 10 of them, and I think we went with 5. And if you guys just want to go with straight to Q&A on this Twitter, I'm sure we're crashing servers right now, and we could actually just go straight to it. Or we can do the slides.
Put the live graph up.
All right, no response. So we'll go with the slides. How does your brand make people feel? This is one of my all-time favorite pictures. I don't think you can look at it without being a little bit happy.
It's amazing.
And I think our brand should make people feel happy. It should make people feel like this guy, like they just want to get the job done.
Get it in.
And then this babe that's there, she's just like, she's into the scene and just enjoying her pop. So it's for both types of people.
It's for everybody, yeah.
But I don't think either of these people are feeling too bad, and I'm really proud of their customers.
Yeah, definitely happy. That's kind of why I'm wearing this shirt, first of all. But that's why our company exists, is our purpose is to create unexpected moments of happiness. And if we can do that through popsicles, awesome. If we can do that through yoga, great. If we can do it any day where we run into someone on the street and make them smile, then that's even better.
If your brand was a celebrity, who would it be? I will admit, because I had to do some crowdsourcing like this, like any good business should. I asked the company what they thought, but who would your brand be?
Who? Let us know.
Big Bird. So, Big Bird, my girlfriend's been doing Spanish with Sesame Street recently, so I've been seeing a little bit of Big Bird. It's kind of annoying. But when it came up, Tyler, who's here today, suggested Big Bird, and it's really true, because Big Bird is, everyone loves him, just a happy person. And really, really loves the community. I just consider, I don't know what, a bird.
Being.
A being, yeah. I don't even see species anymore. I'm so beyond that. But he's a great bird, and he loves the community. He's very positive. He's optimistic, and I think he's got like this underlying bit of hipster that I can really appreciate. But I don't know if Nick, if you have anything to add on that one.
No, I wasn't aware that this was the company choice until, a half hour ago. So yeah, I'm all for it. I think it makes a lot of sense. You guys have something to add? No. Okay.
All right. Okay, that's Big Bird. What have you done that's gone viral? All right, guys, get ready to get the flip out of your seats, because this is gonna turn you up. This was like real viral. No.
Yeah. So what did I get? Like 100 views or something?
Yeah, so what we wanted to say was basically, we have now tripled the amount of people that have viewed that video. And when you're working on something, you're gonna have like so much stuff you're throwing out there that you think is this great, great idea, and it probably is. Like, that is obviously a great idea, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna go viral, certainly, and people might not even really pay attention to it. So one thing that we talk about a lot when we're working on something, and we showed the yoga slide earlier, but we've done I'd say for every like 45 things to 50 things that we do that people show up to, the other 44, like, we enjoyed it, and we might have had a few extra beers that night, and that was pretty good.
Yeah, viral is in the eye of the beholder, perhaps.
Wow.
But I think it makes sense too. I mean, it's really about dedication, right? And you know what, sticking with it, whether it's events or whether it's continuing to do it every day or whatever, creating new flavors. You don't know what's going to stick and what's not.
Yeah, and if it's gone viral, like, it's usually something you shouldn't be proud of.
Yeah, it's pretty temporary, perhaps.
This one was a struggle. Much of our company origin story comes while we were drunk, trying to explain the story. The name King of Pops, a friend of mine and I had a conversation and had a few drinks, and I think many of our best ideas, Nick and I were talking about before this came, with the aid of alcohol.
Maybe a few beverages. I mean, Christmas tree elves, like, no one really should think of that or want to do that or think that it's a good idea if you're both like over 6 feet or anything like that. But, you know, it seemed great at the time, so we went ahead and did it.
So one of the things we do every year at our field day, which is an event that people show up to, but really I think our employees have the most fun, and you'll see some of them in this video, is a pop eating contest. I'm sure it's not very safe, and we could be sued by several people because they always talk about how much their mouth hurts for like 4 to 7 hours afterwards.
Yeah, I remember this dude at Emory, like the first year of the farmer's market, and his friends bet him that if he could eat 20 pops in an hour, they would pay for him all or something like that. And if not, then he just had to pay for them. I think he ate like 12 or something, and then he couldn't eat solid food for, I ran into him the next week, he said he couldn't eat solid food for like 2 days. I was like, that sounds horrible, why would you even like attempt that? 20 pops in an hour is not even good.
So this is basically, we can kind of talk over it because it's kind of long, but this is a pop eating contest over at Dad's Garage.
This is how much excitement you can get in a field day.
Nobody is drunk.
All right, who's in the lead? Work your way this way. Oh my God, that was scary. That was very scary. We got it. We got us in the mouth. I think this guy got it. He got it.
Should have been going landscape. Who's gonna win? Who knows? It's for a t-shirt though. This guy just got real famous.
That's 2 t-shirts. 2 t-shirts. But you're going to have one. Who's our third place? Who's our third place? That's a lot of pride. That's a lot of pride in 3rd place.
There's no pride in 3rd place. All right, let's get serious on brand for a few slides, then we'll do the Q&A, because I know we got some real branding wizards out here. Describe your visual identity. I put this together in a program that you guys might have heard of. It's called Google Slides. So you'll see that it's very slick looking. This is just some pictures that I pulled off of the social media world. If I was to explain it, I would just say words like colorful, playful, authentic, and I think that this has been really important, and I don't really know if we know all the time what is right and wrong by like words, but I think when you see it, a lot of work comes down to like this constant filtering when things actually aren't right and someone else has worked on it and you kind of have to have a conversation, and it's never actually that bad of a conversation because Everyone involved in the brand usually kind of gets it once you say it, but
A little rough around the edges too.
yeah.
I think that's good because that's who we are. That's the way it's always been, and I don't know. I think that's real.
And a look behind the scenes, I think, is really important as far as our brand goes. So, man, we're really getting serious. Describe your voice and tone. So I think our voice is one that is not, like Nick was kind of saying, completely put together. We have our controller in the house, Matt Anderson. I think he replied to this on Instagram as one of his favorite things to say, is how he got the job. So this post actually worked. It was like, we're looking for someone that knows anything about accounting. But our voice is just, our voice, I guess. It's not overthought, and I think whatever's kind of happening, we want to talk about.
Yeah, I think just being real and like, you hear us up here and, put together somewhat, know what we're talking about, of course, but at the same time, just not overly planned, overly, step by step, all the time. By step.
Ooh, free slide. Oh, you had
do whatever you want.
Jason, I thought you were going to come up and do a breakdance during this free slide. For real. Wow. All right, thanks for that free slide.
That's free.
That was free. So free slide. I want to get real with you guys for a minute, because that's what Nick was just saying. We're so real. I think there's an issue, not an issue, just something that I know a lot of people struggle with, because I feel like I've struggled with it as well. And I think it's been elevated since we started 7 years ago, which is a long time and really no time at all. In that if you're going to put something out in the world, it has to be like so infinitely put together and beautiful, and every last thing has to be thought about, and you have to have, your business plan, for example, or...
You gotta have your business plan, your style guide, your website, your business cards, all ready to go before you roll out.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to, I think there's probably some truth to that. I'm a really big believer in design. I think it's beautiful, and I think it can make a big difference, but I think it can be really paralyzing in like the way the world is right now. And so I wanted to give you guys some pats on the back, like go get it. If you aren't already getting it, if you're already getting it, then hopefully it looked better than this. This was our first day.
Probably our first 2 months or 3
First
months.
2 months. Yeah, I kind of just say it's the first day. It was the first picture on Yelp.
How do we get a cart wrapped or get a sticker? No idea. Don't care. Let's go.
And it just, it mattered, I'm sure, but it went really well. And Andre, who's here as well, I'm giving all these people shout outs. Mallory, Tanner, and she was saying, we actually got a positive review on this post, I think, or at least not negative. And that's surprising because the pops were pretty good, but they weren't great. It's like Michael was saying, they were looked a little bit ill-shaped, and this guy looks a little bit like he could be selling you anything.
Yeah, partly melty, just don't really know what you're going to get when that thing pulls out.
I don't know why for several years people have asked us if we're selling drugs.
Yeah, it's weird. But the shade of that telephone booth was key.
Yeah, so I sit in the shade of that telephone booth.
Because you don't have a customer all the time.
And or waiting for the phone to ring, always. Payphone style.
How did that other umbrella help?
The other umbrella was designed to keep the cart cool.
That hot Georgia
we now
sun.
have to explain to people, I didn't really know, dry ice, who knows what it is. It's got a molecular
magical pellet.
something that's very cold. But I was probably just putting ice in that bad boy. If you ever use us for catering, don't do that. And so that looked bad. To go on to that, this was our website.
That's the full website.
That's the full website. No, it's not. Look at those.
Those
Did you not
links.
see the links at the top?
Yeah. I
You ever went
like
to
the
website.
shadowed Facebook link. That's nice.
Yeah, they weren't.
Nice choice.
Well, they were the same file size, but and some of that's more white space. Anyway, I think like this was the entry level as to what Squarespace and probably some of these sites that you can make such beautiful sites on now, and you have to improve upon that. Like, if your site looks like the model Squarespace site, then you're like, man, so now you got to make a site that looks better than like a really, really, really beautiful site. That's hard. All I had to do was do this. I went through the emails when I was putting this together, and me and my friend who's like a jewelry designer or something, she's like, this is really good.
How many hits were we getting back then?
Several. Several hits per day. All right, next, I think this has less to do with my point of just like, we had talked a little bit April 6th and April 1st. We had always kind of said like, April 1st, we're going to start the company, and it allowed us to not worry so much about having a great website or having a cart that had our logo on it or really anything, and kind of just start the company, which was one of the smarter things I think we did.
I mean, backstory on the cart, why we even got in that in the first place, we were supposed to be in that other building at Buddy's, the little glass-walled one, and they were going to split it with us and put a pizza shop in there or something, and just never got around to signing a lease or getting a health permit or any idea on licenses or permits or whatever. So this was our alternative. They're like, yeah, you guys just set up out there for a while and we'll figure it out as time goes along. And then that just became our business model. So.
And I'm really proud of Nick because he's always been like kind of the business guy. Like I was sitting here really just only in this corner, and I met a lot of people that I still know today and have a lot of like great relationships from this. And he was always like, you know, I'm gonna like do some business development. I'm gonna go up to Super Jenny.
I'm not sure I called it that. But
yeah, but it was.
It was.
And
looking back,
it's something if we're gonna get back into the kind of the entrepreneur business start, and you're talking about like, man, do I want to co-founder? Do I want to do this baby by myself? If the person that you're thinking about, you know, is gonna bring more than 2 times the value to the business, then you kind of don't have to think about it. And I've always kind of known that day one. So I don't want to change the slide. I'm just gonna use this one.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. And the other thing about having a partner, and especially one you can trust, is that you have someone that you can trust, bounce ideas off of constantly, and you might be pissed off and disagree one day, and you move on because you trust them and you know they're in it for the long run and for the best things that the business has. So.
Cool. So thanks, Nick. That was beautiful. I wanted to show you guys some development of the logo, just because I thought it'd be interesting, and I wanted to give you guys some behind-the-scenes stuff. I did something that you're not supposed to do, I learned after I did it. So there's a lot of designers in the room, and I'm now kind of regretting putting this in there and now speaking about it. But I had 2 designers working on it. They were my friends for sure, because the gig wasn't that big of a gig, believe it or not. And I was like,
the winning designer did get free pops.
Free pops, yeah. And they might probably both get them if they want them.
They probably both could get them.
So we had 2 guys working on it. These were the first mocks I got from one of my dudes. And then I was like, man, this is great. And then I got this one, and I was like, oh, that's different. That crown is sideways, but that text, I liked it over on the side, and maybe that crown could get a little more sideways. So we got these logos back, a little more sideways. We got a big crown, we got a sideways text. I love both of these logos, and I'm thinking about just having them. If we could open another King of Pop's business.
Multiple uses, right?
Yeah. And we'll talk about how confusing logos are to us anyway in a second. Good point, Nick. Okay, that's it. So the current logo is just on our shirt. I thought I was going to have a culminating slide. So this is our, this is a different shirt.
Yeah, that's not our logo on there. It's a fish.
So that's a little bit about our kind of branding backstory. And then another thing that Tavani was talking about in the thing was this mural that we started. So we had set a date of April 1st, 2010 to start this baby, and didn't have all the things kind of figured precisely. But I did know that I had a friend that was a great painter. And I said, friend, you've been drunk sketching things with popsicles as I talk about them for like at least a year. Well, let's paint a mural. So this is my friend Chris and myself. This is the original corner. And this is us looking at it like, wow, this is taking us longer than a full day.
That's real big.
And I was really the yellow spaces, and we used a pin with string to make that perfect circle. This is us bowing at each other. I think this is about day 3. And we were on that scaffolding, which is kind of pushed to the side there, and people were like, King of Pops, that doesn't make any sense. Because they were getting their gas.
What is this big painting?
And they thought it was interesting, and we were friendly enough young folks to chat with. And we tried to explain to them what we were doing, much like I did in the Scout Mob video. And it was very succinct.
Yeah, it came across great.
They weren't necessarily getting it.
Obstacles?
There's really no roundup to this, and it's about our last slide, but this is just the final mural, which we want to live on forever. And it is now, if you're there, a good, like, gosh, this is like the most braggish thing I could say, but I think it'd be really cool if when you went by, you could say, like, you know, you can still see that mural underneath the paint through the light. And you can, and I tell people that all the time. If you look closely while you're getting gas, you can still see the mural. So as far as I'm considered, it's still there. Anything to add to that, Nick?
It's great.
Nick talked a little bit about our purpose, which I want to hammer home right now. It's called Unexpected Moments of Happiness. You might be saying, your purpose is to make popsicles and us to eat them. And what I'm telling you guys right now, and you're probably rolling your eyes, and that's what I got to get comfortable with, that's a me issue, is that our purpose is actually to create these unexpected moments of happiness. And I hope more than anything we can do that, because I know that some of you guys probably passed on the popsicles, and they were free. And all you had to do, you might have even felt like, I should just take one because it's going to be awkward not to. But really, that's okay. And I think if you can allow us to have this moment in your life where we enriched a little bit, then I'm happy. And I think Nick's happy, and I think this section, and I wish we had sections written on this, Switchyards guys, that'd be cool, like section 105, section 104, section 103, 102, and 101. I'd like that. But
Just a little nice.
that would be section 105, and I would be like, to my people in section 105, hey, you get free pizza too. Just kidding, I can't do that. Anyway, that's our purpose, unexpected moments of happiness. If you ever see one, let us know, because we like to hear about it. And other than that, we are so really, really, really grateful that you guys are all here and that we can talk to anybody about this. We just talk about it all the time.
This community has been, amazing for us. I don't know if we said much about community, but we wouldn't be here without our Atlanta community. It's a big enough city to be successful and a small enough city to be known and create something great.
Yeah. Well done. Let's end with that. How's this gonna work? Are you tweeting it to me like I should get my phone out?
Twitter's down right now. The farewell is up.
Twitter's down. Oh man, not again.
Zach Pausman asked, I tell clients a lot that you are not your users' customers, but you guys are your users. Are both approaches doable? It's a deep question. Thanks, Zach. Tweet your questions and use the hashtag #MadeInAtlanta. Are both approaches doable, Stephen and Nick?
So the question is, are we our user's customer and what's the other one?
You are not your users' customers,
Yeah,
but you guys are your users. Oh, Zach, there you go.
Thank you, Zach. I love the question, first of all. I don't know why all these people are getting up. It's a great question.
Yeah, like I tell clients all the time, like, you're not your users, you're not your customers. You gotta go out in the world and meet those customers because they think like, oh, everyone's like me, and I'll just solve my problem and it'll solve everyone's problem. And then I feel like somehow you guys kind of are your customers.
Hey, be quiet in the bathroom back there.
No, I think
Bowler, can you turn around and tell them to be quiet?
Yeah, so I love that. I think Nick and I talk about that all the time. We actually talked about it in our big meeting this week. We don't think we would buy the most popsicles probably of anyone in the room. Love them, and I think they're great, but I don't think we're like our own customer in that sense. What I do think is...
I think we're our own customer. We aren't our own best customer.
Are we our best customer?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you bring this home then?
Oh, go ahead. You're doing great.
I do think though that if I had the opportunity to introduce someone to a brand, which is kind of what we're proud of, I would be proud to bring someone that was visiting Atlanta to a King of Pops cart, or to our bar at Ponce City Market. And that's like a constant check that I have with myself as to like what we're posting on social media or an event we're doing or a flavor that we're making is like, would I be proud of this? And I think that's a really easy one always, and you always kind of know it in your heart. So wouldn't be my best customer, but would be a customer and would like King of Pop.
Yeah, and I actually do think we are good customers to ourselves because that's how we've attracted probably 90% of our best employees or our employees, period. And I mean, those people connect with us for a reason. And I think it is because of that authenticity, of that realness, of that sensing that we are who we say we are, and that this is something real to us and something that is going to live a long time.
There's some people that eat a lot of popsicles.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think though. I don't know.
He's trying to keep getting me to stop saying that.
No, I haven't gone a week without eating a popsicle.
Oh,
I used to eat
gone
one a day or 3 a day, and probably I'm not there anymore. But
About one a day.
one a day.
That's a good amount.
It's a good amount of popsicles.
You guys done? All right. Work It Athletics tweets, what has been your biggest obstacle in building King of Pops?
Biggest obstacle. I think our constant obstacles are probably like just about any business. Cash flow is always difficult to grow, and then getting the best people that you can that share the same vision and want to work with you and be on the same journey with you. Those can be difficult things, and especially us being a seasonal business, we had to find a lot of ways around the cash flow issue because we make money 8 months out of the year and pay people 12 months out of the year, and that can be difficult. So from a technical sense, those are some difficulties.
Another tough one is we've got like a lot of ideas, and we've just recently realized that we can only do some of those ideas.
Yeah, and the ideas and opportunities things is huge. And so we did craft a vision about 2 years ago and have let that guide us and say no to a lot of opportunities too. And so I think that was definitely much more difficult for us without that vision and our first couple of years when we had things coming at us left and right. Wanted to do everything.
If you want to read the vision, just send it to #GetAtThatVision, and it automatically comes back to you.
New app.
All right, 2 questions hitting on the same topics. This is a hot one today. Hot. Peter asked you, and Sean Corcoran asked to talk about how you finance the company. Did you take on any investment? If so, what type?
Yeah.
Or did you not take any?
We didn't take on any investment. I had a small amount, about $6,000 or $7,000 saved up, and we've only kind of reinvested in ourselves. We now have a mortgage on a farm. We just bought a new building that we're going to be moving into at the end of this year, God willing. And yeah, I think that's the short answer.
Yeah, I mean that's the answer. We've definitely talked to a lot of people that are interested in investing, and we've just never felt like that's something either we wanted or needed or wanted to answer to other people for how we spent our money or why we did what we did. And so that was easy for us to say no to.
Nick talked a little bit about our vision, but a piece of our vision is we want to be a Southern company, is that a paper company or a gas company or something? A company from the South. And so we're not trying to blow up and be TCBY, so it's easy to not take it. We can do what our goals are right now it'd be nice to have great funding, but we also just don't want to work with really anyone that we don't know and love. So if Nick suddenly came upon the lottery, then he could invest. Or someone else. I'll consider it.
We also just do invest every year in ourselves because we have to. So, I mean, I think it's what we want to do, and that's the way we've chosen to grow the company, is by not taking money out of the company. So everything is self-invested and self-promoted and self-generated.
It's not about money.
You are an awesome human. Tweets, Yo King of Pops. Most popular and least popular flavors of all time.
Classic question.
And what's exciting for you guys in 2017?
Bam.
Most popular, chocolate sea salt. That's a classic.
Least popular, unfounded, and impossible to know. We can say some bad ones.
Fig and goat cheese didn't turn out well.
Fennel, avocado.
That was a bad one. Anything that you make with what's that?
We don't like papaya, and we also
Yeah.
don't. We also don't like. What's the fruit that I don't like that you kind of like? From, the one that's brown. No, it's brown in Mexico, and we tried it a few times.
Tamarind.
Tamarind.
Yeah, it tastes like
We don't know how to do it. One thing that we realized really early on is like
tamarindo.
there's like paletas, and in the beginning we tried to create paletas, which were like, let's just do what they're doing so well down there. And what we found out pretty quickly was, man, why don't we make flavors that are kind of what we understand and what are true to the South? And I
What
think
we
that
actually
was
like.
That was an important realization.
Yeah, making stuff you like is pretty important.
Yeah.
Biggest, Rios Gear asked, what is your biggest focus moving forward this year?
Oh, we didn't answer what we're
Yeah.
doing big in
I
2017.
forgot about that. Go ahead.
Let's just meld it into this question. That's a focus, and you can do that.
Refocused. So what we're doing in 2017 that's big is not doing anything. We're staying where we are for a minute and not expanding to a new city or starting a new company, which is something for us actually, because we love opportunity, we love what we're doing, and we love pivoting whenever we can. So trying to double down on what we have and make our company a better place to be, a better place to work, and our better product for everybody.
Yeah.
Is that right?
No, that's right. I got some things I want to leak right now.
Well, we do have some other stuff going on, of course, but I don't know if it's going to roll out this year.
I got a tip from a second mention from Manu. Give it up for Manu to not just like spill all the beans all the time when you don't even really know what you're doing, because it's just not the right thing to do. Nothing signed.
I think Manu asked a question, actually. Maybe it was
Very
that
active
question.
on social.
All right, Manu asked, what was your proudest moment in the 7 years of King of Pops?
You want me to do it?
It's got to be hiring your parents, no?
We can have separate ones. You can
Let's
go
have
first.
separate ones. I've said this out loud a lot of times, and so I would like to just repeat it to you guys. My proudest moment, you saw that yoga event was, and kind of had this, like, the way thoughts come in isn't like in this linear, like, sentence structure, and I was just zapped with this thought. And I was laying, and I believe it's called Shavasana, but I'm not the best yoga person. Laying on the ground pose where you're done. And there was a ton of people there, and it was unlike any other feeling that I've ever had. Not that I had just exercised for an hour, which often makes people feel good, but that our brand had kind of built this event that people just really loved the shit out of, and I loved, and I was proud to be there, and I could be in the background of it, and it was so far beyond anything that we even knew what we were doing in the beginning. It's just, that's my proudest moment.
Yeah. Mine is probably, my real proudest moment that I remember is offering someone a job for the first time, which is pretty crazy and scary and, starts you on a new journey, of course. But my daily one, and I think this is why we decided our purpose, or our purpose came to us, or we were able to verbalize our purpose, is that every time you hand someone a pop, Steve's really good at talking about this, but you're a little bit nervous whether they're going to like it, and then they do, and they smile, and then you have a conversation with them, and it's amazing. So I think every time that happens, it's a great moment.
Yeah, you can sell 10,000 of something, and you're still like,
I hope this batch of strawberry lemonade, I hope we got the right strawberries.
yeah, it's great.
Nicole Leffer asked, have you ever had any scary moments where you weren't sure if you were going to make it or survive in business?
Yeah, so the first year we were in business, Nick and I kind of remember our first conversation. We were at Restaurant Depot buying things that you need to be in a kitchen, and I was like, man, I'm selling like more than I can handle right now, broski. And I was like, you wanna?
This is when we were making them like at our houses, in our kitchen, and just trying to figure it out.
Everything was going on, and what exactly was the question? Scariest moment. So we get to the end of this year. Nick had joined us. He talked about our first hire. We'd actually hired two of our good friends that had kind of helped us out that year. Gave them like a little bit of what we called winter money at the time. And I didn't know if anyone was going to remember this thing the next year. You got 3 months off. That's a lot of time to forget about something. And not only, I was a little bit scared of like losing the business and that, because like we were making some money at least, but really it was just so much fun. And like, if I wouldn't have been able to do that and continue to do that and share that with more people, that would have been very scary.
Yeah, I think that was the attitude going in that year. It was like, will people actually come back and buy a popsicle next year? Was this a one-year thing? Are we done after this? And we took 4 months off. Of course, weren't thinking about it too hard, but but they did. People came back, and it was amazing. Now we have to work year-round.
Pup Walker asked, how do you engage your customers? So for you guys, is it just locations? How do you actively think about getting new or more customers?
I'll start with what I was thinking and then answer the follow-up question, because I want to get back to Pub Walker and the essence of what he was asking. What I think about every time we do something, or every time I can try to, is this something that would be interested in looking into, or seeing if I was not in this business, is this something interesting? The follow-up question, which was maybe one that Nick could answer.
What was it?
Sorry, Devani. The clarification question.
Clarification, please.
You get one clarification. How do you acquire new customers?
Acquiring customers. Yeah,
That's a great.
I'm good on that one. I think from the beginning, my stance on it, and Steve's probably a little different because I think that's why we work well together. We are different. Mine is always to go to new places. So probably like what you're saying is more locations, figuring out where we connect with customers. So it started off, we're just at the gas station parking lot, and then we're like, well, hey, a lot of people are making prepared foods and going to farmers markets. And look, there's this other popsicle company that started after us doing that. So let's do that. We applied for like 20 farmers markets. And then food trucks came, and like food trucks were the next big thing. And you know, we don't have a truck or an engine in our cart, but we might as well go to all these events because these are gatherings of people. This is where people who like to get out and do things are. And the more they see us, the more they know us. And so over the years, I think, you know, we bought the rainbow umbrella off of Amazon, I guess, if it existed in 2010. And that was, the only reason we bought it is because the one that popped up first on Beach Umbrella that was bigger than the one that Steve had in the picture. That would actually cover the cart and the vendor and not let them die in Georgia's heat. And so it's just being out. That's become an icon over the years. And so people see that, and we have kids wandering up under random rainbow umbrellas at the beach. We hear stories about that all the time. And becoming a brand that people want to see and are excited to see and expect to see everywhere, that's how I think we built our brand the best.
You kind of just answered this, but Blake Burns asked, when are the ice cream trucks coming?
We've actually had two. One of them
One's
is
still
not
in
a
the
fan
garage
of
for
the
2
Emmett
years.
Park Neighborhood Association, but a great billboard. And the other is at our farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's at it, but
One became a painting project for kids that you turned that into.
that-
That was maybe a
that almost went viral.
But yeah, we did try the trucks for a year. It didn't work out very well. We just were not very, I don't know. The logistics of trucks are just much more difficult than carts. We throw these carts in the back of trucks and put them wherever we want, and it's just so much easier. So a lot of it is about ease of use.
Jake Schmutzler asked, will King of Pops be in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
Oh yeah.
Oh, snap.
Atlanta United!
Yeah, this is one of the things I didn't want to mention as one of the big things in 2017 because me and Michael had talked about it for about 9 months. But there's we got like a collab going on for, we're just really into Atlanta soccer energy. And we'll restart that maybe, but I forgot the question again.
Will we be in Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
Yes,
The answer
we will
is
be
yes.
there. We will be there.
Now, we're looking forward to opening day, whenever that is, in June or something, maybe. Is that right?
What about the
June 30th.
Braves Stadium?
July 30th.
Yeah, first game this weekend, I think. Next weekend.
We're very connected to the business.
It's on a weekend coming up soon. But I do think the stadium's open.
It's a great stadium. I think they did up there. Made in
And
Holland.
Phillips Arena in the next month or two, or in the next month, before the season's over for the Hawks. Yeah, so
Bon
that's cool.
Jovi came there. That was lit.
As heck.
Single Girl Eats asks, what's your biggest argument to dissuade food entrepreneurs? Do your best to talk us out of it. So it sounds like they want you to talk them out of starting a food.
So if you ever want to check out mtan.com, it's a great blog, and I'm going to reference some things he was just talking about, but he works with us. There's basically like nothing stopping anyone in the world from starting a popsicle business. Cost about $7 to get a mold, and the cooler, you probably just have one in your closet. So you all could start one probably in 14 hours. 6 hours to freeze the pops, 8 hours to just kind of psych yourself up for it. So that's how I would dissuade a food entrepreneur is, unless you are like, which I'm kind of into this too, like, well, into it and not into it. I don't want you guys to question my environmentalism, and I don't know all the politics about it, but they're like growing chickens now. If you're doing that stuff, you've got a leg up, but if you're trying to make pops, good luck. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be a whole lot of work, and it's going to be very, very hot and hard, and the pops are going to simultaneously burn you. That's confusing. How does dry ice burn you? It's so cold.
Do you know? Yeah,
So cold that it literally will
We're
burn you.
waiting. We're waiting. No, I mean, it's tons of work, right? From the very first day and for the first 5 years, working 7 days a week. And most of those days you're working 12 to 16 or 18 hours a day. And you're loving every minute of it, but at the same time, you don't know whether it's going to fail or whether you're going to, make it to the next day or the next month. So I think that's part of it. I mean, the realities of it is that food is super heavily regulated, and there's tons of food safety concerns. I'm sure you all know Jenny's and their shutdown, or Bluebell and their shutdown last year. Like, those are getting more and more real in our heads, and there's so many things that could go wrong. Fortunately for us, we haven't had them yet. But yeah, I mean, just a ton of work. It's dedication, and a lot of entrepreneurial talk about passion. I think it's actually more dedication and being able to put in the long hours and getting up time after time and sticking with it.
At Tamani asks,
That guy's got very good insights.
he does. Always good questions from this gentleman.
Well curated.
He asked, how do you use social media? So you guys are a popsicle company. In theory, no one should care about you except when they see the
What?
In theory, except when they see the rainbow, umbrella. How do you guys use social media? What's been a big kind of social media win? Something that's been effective that's helped your business, not just for fun, but how do you kind of engage people?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just disagree with you, but like what I know from
Add Tabani, that's
posting
such a good one.
all the time is at Tabani is that people actually do want to see pictures of popsicles. It's staggering how much better a picture of popsicles does than when I try to we put up a picture of like our staff and we're like, we love our team. Or like we're at an event that we're doing something really cool. What I will say is like likes isn't always a good indicator. Comments and engagement and how like the people that aren't liking it, because some people just don't like stuff, feel when they see something. Like, if you feel great about the post you made, you should make it. And even if it gets 7 likes or 7,000 likes, the same people are seeing it. They might just not be double clicking on it. and it is influencing them. So it's always kind of taking that into consideration. But I don't know any secrets, I guess. Do you, Nick?
No, I don't.
Nick's managing the Charleston social media account. If you want to go and check that out,
Yeah.
Pop CHS.
That's right, it's going very well. I think we're up to 2,000 likers or something.
Likers.
Followers.
All right, this is your last chance to tweet in a question. So I'll give people one more minute, and hopefully this will buy 1 minute. Michael Coward asks, when will we get a stand on the Switchyards corner?
Well, I've heard nothing stops downtown, and that it's for doers, and several slogans, and that's generally what I look for in cart selection. So I've been mapping it. The most slogans in all of downtown is actually from this intersection.
They're really popping up.
So we've been talking about it in meetings. How are they coming up with so many slogans? So we're going to be there, I think, at least once this year.
Tonight. By the way, thanks for the pops. You didn't even tell me you were bringing them.
Is that an unexpected moment of happiness? Because everyone kind of expects it now. You know, when I go to the DMV, I take pops. If I don't go with pops now, they're just like, no, you're the guy that didn't bring pops.
I saw two guys that I know, and they were like, wait, how much is it? Oh, it's free. Oh, I'll take one. They were totally walking by, but when they saw it was free, they took one. All right, last question of the night. Is this even a question? Nope, it wasn't a question. It was a comment.
Oh.
No question.
Could we hear it?
Oh, wait, one more came in. What would you do differently if you were starting King of Pops today? Good question from Azar Bande Ali. I saw him over there somewhere.
I'm trying to think, how can we wrap this question into a great closing for all of us to leave here enthusiastic for 2017 April, which is coming right up. First, I want to drop a news bomb. March 31st, you can get free pops wherever you see a cart.
Multiple places.
What would we do differently? Jeez, that's really hard. Because everyone always says they wouldn't do anything differently, but I want to leave you guys with something I would do differently. Nick, is there anything you would have done differently? Now that I'm thinking about it?
I don't know. It is a tough question because, you know, we kind of did what we wanted the whole time and are continuing to do that. And it's worked out okay so far. So I can't say there is, other than maybe sleep a little bit more. We used to have this thing where during the summer we didn't eat much and didn't sleep much, and so we'd probably lose 20, 30 pounds. That was probably unhealthy. I don't know if I would change it, because there's some good stories, but...
Yeah, I have like some marks from consistent dry ice burns that show up whenever I get a tan on my arm. I wouldn't have done that the same. I would have respected the suggestion to wear gloves. But
one time the government fined us around $80,000 for not paying payroll taxes for a couple of years.
You know what I would have done differently?
Maybe have an accountant.
Is there a Unilever representative here? I would have probably just said, I'm going to keep calling these things popsicles because that's what everyone thinks they are. And I can respect that you've built an amazing brand, but it's not working for me right now.
Yeah, call them popsicles.
I just keep calling them popsicles, and we'd have a tagline. We had to take it off.
Yeah, call it popsicles? I don't know.
Is there a summarization question? That one was hard to do, summarization.
So you can't use popsicles anywhere?
Popsicles is Unilever brand, and so we use Ice Pops now. But I'm always like, Ice Pops doesn't accurately explain the creamy ones, because people are only thinking of the refreshing ones.
Just Pops.
No
What
popsicles.
about the King of Pops name? Didn't you have some, weren't there?
No, and I actually just read an article about this, that they don't have it trademarked, but they put something in that other people can't trademark it. King of Pop, actually, though. Pops. Free king. But we already got it.
Why was your website kingofpops.net for a long time?
We were one of the top 10 .nets in the whole country for several years. And .net stands for network. And we were like, what are we, a company or a network? We're a network.
Everyone give a round of applause. Stephen and
Thank
Nick.
you so much for coming, everybody.